Good morning, friends, and welcome to the session on reinventing procure to pay. First, let's understand the terminology. When I say procure to pay, basically we are integrating the procurement function with account payable. That is why we are calling procure to pay. Now, some of you might be thinking, what is reinventing? I mean, the word reinventing means there's a change. Yes, there is a change. And this change is radical. Why I'm saying radical? Because I have been associated with this function. I could say from 1988. When I was involved in developing EDI standards, I was based in Geneva. We were developing the EDI standards for e-procurement. From that timing itself, I've been very actively involved in these functions. I was instrumental in developing UNSPSE codes around. You all know it. To a lot extent, I would say when I say reinventing P2P, can be attributed to a lot of trends which has come up in procurement and technology as well. All of you know the cloud-based technologies, IoTs, RPAs. So those have really made this reinvention part. Well, friend, with this, I also want to thank you all because of the active participation. I could see the list we have. And also want to thank our sponsor, JICAS, who are I would say, the global leader in the field of developing P2P, S2P softwares around. Now, with this, friends, let me move further. So this talks about the JICAS, who are the leading provider of the complete S2P and P2P. And if I look at the Gartner Magic Quadrants, they come as a leader. Their customer base is worldwide. They're also organizing an upcoming event on 4th of May. Those who are wish to join it. And this is mainly meant for the senior procurement and finance executives. They can register through their website. Let's move to the agendas of today's. Now, when we talk of today's agenda, we are trying to first start with what was traditional P2P. This term has been there. So when I say traditional means, what exactly you mean traditional? And when I say modern means, I'm talking of automation. Some people may call it smart P2P because we are moving toward digitization. There's two terms. One is digitization, one is digitalization. I would say even we are going one step forward. When I look at RPA, when I look at artificial intelligence, we are becoming more of an intelligent P2P. So if I have to, it won't be wrong if I say we are moving from traditional P2P to intelligent P2P. The next focus would be all on P2P trends. So when we talk of reinvention, as I said to you in the beginning, what are the trends? What changes has happened in the last decade? And I have seen all of them have been associated when I was based in Copenhagen, Geneva, and then in the US. I've been associated with all of them. I'll try to walk through with you. Now, next question comes in, guys, okay, now we got convinced that we have P2P, we want to get into this, we want to transform our procurement activities, we want to change, but then there's a change management concept, because without the proper preparation, a good software could also be a failure. To make a good fun, and I also want to get the confidence that you people have got something from this program, we've got a quiz on this. It's a very small quiz, which will give me the confidence that everybody has got the basic concepts around. And this will be followed by Q&A. So any one of you want to send your questions, answers, questions around, please do send us. And I'll be very happy to cover it after the sessions around. So let's move to the very first one, traditional to modern, or I would call intelligent P2P. Traditional means, as you can see in the slide, the very thing starts from determination of requirement. Somebody makes a request to you. Then after the request comes to you, there is approval of the request around. Then goes to the procurement department. And then the procurement person starts looking around, who are the sources available to me? Those sources could be either I have got long-term contracts with them, some of the companies. I try to find from them, or I'm trying to look at those companies, although I don't have a catalog of their punched out to my system, but they have some arrangements with them. So after I've done the source determinations, the vendor selections, process the POs, order monitoring, I try to do the contract management, whether the contract is going okay or not, goods are received, and then obviously you try to, when you get the invoice, you try to verify it matches as per the requirements, and lastly the payment. In this cycle I've shown you 8 steps around, but I remember, so when I took up as a head in the UN activities around in 1999, I was trying to see how many steps are involved in our activities. When I date back to 99, I would say we had 15 steps. So, but I talk of 15 steps, the number of stakeholders are much more. So this is where I want to touch on that part. So when we say traditional P2P, the series of multiple steps. Then there are different business units around. The requisition may come from X department, HR, may come from a production, may come from sales, may come from anyone's. It's their budget. Then there are different stakeholders in the chain. So you're moving from rec to pay, too many hands involved. So ultimately, when you've got too many players or too many actors in the chain, there are obviously going to be unnecessary expenses around. The delays, errors. When I talk of unnecessary expenses around, I did the study in 1999, same time, when I was looking at number of steps involved, and I was looking at the cost of each step. The salary of the person, even if he spends 5 minutes or 10 minutes to approve it, to allot the budget, approve the rec, approve the POs. Dating back to 99, the cost of one PO in those days was $125, just the operational cost. So whenever, after coming back to India, I ask this question very often, wherever I go on a consulting assignment or some meetings around, I say, what is the cost of your POs? And if I include the invoice payments, how much is the cost of this? Normally, I don't get the very correct answers around, but we did some survey. I'll touch later on this issue. Now, let's look at the business world also. When I passed out from the college, it was all vertically integrated. Procurement was just a support function. But over the years, it has grown many folds. It has become very important functions. In some of the companies, I could say it is covering around 50% of the whole sales revenue. And some of the automobile companies, I could say it is going up to 70% of the sales revenue. If my sales revenue is $2 billion, my procurement would be around $1.5 billion. So you can imagine the importance of procurement has become manifold. Again, when I see the traditional P2P, very paper driven, somebody has to make a rec, somebody has to approve, somebody has to authorize. To some extent, this was cut down when the ERP came, but still, there's a lot of paper driven process. And procurement was never linked to AP. I was looking for this something 10 years back. But now, people are moving in the directions around, and many governments are even authorizing e-invoicing. Even the government of India is allowed. Many companies are moving in the directions. Employees buy things what, when, from where, whom they want. Sometimes they say, guys, I'm in an urgency. They want to do the shopping. They say, I know the job. They don't go to the procurement. They just do the shopping, give the bill to the finance to process the payment. So there is a lot of maverick spend around. Many purchases, the company has made one centralized unit who makes the catalog, who negotiates it. But people say, guys, no, your prices are not good. I'll do it my own way. They buy outside that. So there's no compliance per se. And this is the struggle I was having around when I had 200 country offices. And I was sitting in the central office as the head of it. We make the negotiation, we make the contract, people will find their own excuse around. Lack of invoice visibility. Certainly, was there around, but the moment you go into P2P, you get the visibility end to end. low quality insights of the spend data. And if I wanted to see in those days, sitting in Copenhagen 1989, I would try to look around how much is the spend of the UN family, which spends around $10 billion, but how much is the spend and how much, what type of item, what type of goods? Impossible. That's why it made us to move into UNSPSC. Low end-to-end compliance control, lengthy time-consuming processes. So this is what you can say the features of traditional P2P is around. The type of transactions which we are involved in procurement, obviously we are buying sometime for inventory, sometime for production, some for direct materials, non-PO invoices. I said to you, Maverick part is around 10%, utilities, services, rentals, travel and expense. So wide range of transactions are done as a part of procurement activity. Now this is a trend we were trying to look around. Now in this whole scenario of P2P, what are the opportunities for improvements? The top one comes the cost control. Supplier negotiation. I do the supplier negotiation, fix the price. I know this item I'm buying on a repetitive basis. The potential of saving is around 21%. But I want to spend visibility around and spend visibility from end to end. Scope is 19%. Ease of requisitions. I mean, you have made an acquisition, it goes to authorization from somebody and approval from somebody. In some company I've seen, somebody authorizes it, the department head, then goes to the senior manager for approvals. So those of ease of requisitions can be done around. Because that ease mean is a cost. So there is a potential of saving. If I can cut down that waste itself. If those wastes are removed, my cost is better. Data accuracies. Because if I want to see by 60% I'm able to capture and 30 to 35% is bought outside the PO system, my data is not accurate. The tools are there now to capture the data, but if people are doing outside the system, then the data accuracy will suffer. Integration of AP within the procurement process itself. That's a beautiful thing. If you can do it, that's what the P is meant for. Saving could be around 12%. Off contract spend reductions, contract compliance. So that also will add to the savings around and improvement as well. Now, so far we have heard about P2P in a very traditional way, and we have identified the gaps. We have identified the opportunity for savings. Now that means there's a need to move into fully automated. So if I want to move from procurement to pay, end-to-end P2P, that means I'm linking the purchase function with finance. So in short, we're trying to make a better procurements with better spend controls and cash flow visibility part. So this could lead us to the reduced cost, which is a major trend. If I look from procurement side, even till date, we are doing this whole trend analysis on the procurement side. We collect the data from all the big companies. The first highlight is cost reduction. So I think this will lead to that. Increased visibility. I can have end-to-end visibility. Real-time basis, what is my spend? I have the big data. I can analyze the data and can make much more better informed decisions. Improved security and compliance. And the last is better control. Now, coming back to this, automation sounds wonderful, but I've seen the trend-wise. When I left in the US 8 or 7 years back, it was around 30-35%. Now it has come to around 50%. But if I look from India's context, still we are doing in a very traditional way. Automation part, implementing P2P systems, I would say still we are struggling with 20 to 35% around. And we hope in the next 5 years, this will go up to 50%. When I look from the Indian context, there are two types of companies. Those which are very big, have ERPs. They know they're struggling because when they have ERP, they think this can serve their purpose around, but they're also thinking of now adding this P2P as complement to this to improve the efficiency of procurement. But I would say those companies which are middle-sized companies, even the small-sized company, they can make a good benefit of P2P. Because they may not have ERPs, but for them P2P could serve a lot. So that's the advantage. I look for those contexts around. Let's understand these terms around. Very important around. We have, everybody talks of source to pay. Sometimes we talk procure to pay. Now, when I say source to pay, technically we are looking at the bigger chain, end to end. That means there's an initial component which is called e-sourcing. So there's a sourcing component which you call as a strategic sourcing, and which is becoming a very crucial for most of the companies around. If you're spending 70% of your whole budget on procurement, so naturally it's very crucial. So when I look at the strategic sourcing, we have obviously to identify my spend first. The game starts with spend. Identifying which are low-hanging fruits around. Then trying to do the market analysis around. Do the whole RFQ and RFI. Maybe you are happy with the incumbent, but new technology has come up around. New suppliers might have come in the market. Today we look at the global world, not only in the country itself. So strategic sourcing helps you to identify potentials and key suppliers and negotiate better deal with them. And once that is done, you could build up a catalog. So once you're done the strategic sourcing, then the next step starts is P2P. So in short, what you can see around, P2P covers the purchasing component and the account payable, while source to pay covers the sourcing component also upfront. So you have e-sourcing, purchasing, account payable. So combined together becomes source to pay, and source to pay also covers the vendor management. So in short, when those companies with whom you make the long-term arrangements, you made a call of contract upfront, and purchasing people are complying with it. And a big difficulty when I used to be in New York, we have made the long-term arrangement, then some country office will not bother to use it. So that's a compliance issues. So we have put the money on the table, but it's not going into the bank because people are not using those long-term arrangements around. So this is where I want to convey S2P, P2P, and again I'm re-emphasizing, in the past, pay world was very difficult because finance people will always raise hands, oh no, it's not possible to combine two things together. So nowadays with e-invoicing coming up around, I think it is practical to go for this. Now the savings which I can see from P2P, obviously in today's world, when I look at the trends, everybody wants cost reduction as number one priority. We are competing with each other. I mean, we are competing, even if I can bring a 5% reduction in my procurement activities around, that is as good as 25% in my sales increase. Because any saving in procurement hits the bottom line. So this is how I look at a big opportunity, and particularly when I look at the indirect side. And indirect side also I can cut down. If I have done the strategic sourcing, I have made the long-term call of contracts, it is not the procurement people have to make the purchase orders. It can be given to the business units also. So that way the indirect spend presents a huge opportunity to me. When we talk of matching, I mean, this whole thing of connecting the AP function with purchasing, I mean, this is obviously part of ERP. Many people have done it, two-way match, three-way match. So this also, when we are getting with e-invoicing, will help us to improve, cut down the cost much better. Now coming back to the elements. So now we have understood so far what is P2P in a traditional way, how it is connected with e-procurement, what is S2P. And then we are trying to say the benefit of all this around moving into P2P. Then the question comes, if I want to implement it, certainly when you want to convince to your management, you need to have a number-driven case. Communication and change management. I have seen the best software. I remember the time when we implemented, I was involved as a leading it, implementing the ERP worldwide. To me, change management was very crucial. I knew very well, if I'm doing with a big bank, it will fail. If I don't change the mindset of people, people are not trained. So to me, the communication and change management is very crucial. Then after spending such a money around of the company, you need to do the performance measurement. Is it saving what I was trying to convince to my management? And what is the impact on my procurement? Am I losing some jobs? Do I need to train the people around? All those things are there. Now coming back to this question come very crucial. P2P and ERP. I remember when I implemented ERP in 2006, then later the question was there, guys, because when we became smarter, we were looking, guys, all the data are going inside. What is ERP helping me is to just make a purchase order? Can I analyze the data around? Can I get the report of this? I know ERP also has graduated up, but P2P is much more friendly in that sense around. The reasons could be to some extent. When I look at this, ERP is with all in one mentality around. So end users don't get flexibility per se. So when I see P2P and S2P, there's a lot of flexibility per se. So don't misunderstand me, ERP is also graduating in, but this one has much more flexibility because this is basically catering to the needs of procurement and supply chain people. So that makes a much big difference. So whenever you guys are looking for something of this P2P, look for a solution which gives you seamless ERP integration. If you're not able to, if your company is having ERP and you're moving for P2P, please ensure there's a possibility to have a seamless integration with ERP. So that's very crucial around. When I look at the Gartner Magic Quadrant, I think the purpose of showing this is you guys should know it whenever you're buying a software. As per the Gartner Magic Quadrant, where does this company ranks in terms of leadership, in terms of visions, in terms of challenges, and niche player around. So this is where you can see in the slide where various companies who are competing each other's, where do they stand. Let's move to the trends. So when we talk of reinvention, radical change, when we talk around, so which are the things which has contributed to the radical change? The very first thing is cloud. This term is new, not that new. 5 years back, 6 years back, very common, people were talking around it. But this word was more linked to the only IT people. But now I can see people, procurement people, they talk a lot. Oh, we want a cloud-based system. I want a SaaS around. I can just pay for the user's purpose. Internet of Things, 3 years back, 2 years back, today is again very popular. And then obviously postmodern ERP strategy. ERP is also improving. So that postmodern ERP strategy, how do we do this? RPA, robotic process automation, artificial intelligence, machine learning, big data, mobile P2P. These have obviously moved and given a big contribution to reinvent P2P. But one should not ignore the part I've kept up, the blockchain technology. So we can't close our eyes, guys, we are doing very great. But blockchain technology is also in the chain around. So this is where I want to touch about these trends which are trying to help us to reinvent P2P. Let's get down to the cloud. Cloud is still news. I remember 6 years back when we hear about Microsoft, there's that, we thought there's another hype around. But today we feel it's an important. So it gives you basically access to shared computer resources on demand. In the past, we were talking of IaaS, then PaaS, now SaaS. So we're talking of SaaS model, where that means this helps me basically more like a leasing. I use something and I pay for the usage. The cost has gone down. And some of the technologies are helping us to make it a touchless business process. Like the matching of POs with invoice. That could be done even without touch of a person. System could do it. So this is where advantages are coming around. So there's no human intervention per se. So this was, I told you in the beginning, the ERP replacement versus adding specialized P2P layers. As I said in the beginning, ERP is also graduating up, but there's a gap, as I said to you, because of all-in-one mentalities in ERP. The flexibility is the issues around. And you want agile, you want responsive system. So that's where I think P2P has an edge. So it can complement with ERP. Those who have ERP, they can integrate with it seamlessly. Let's get down to RPA, AI, ML. Now, these are three terms which are used very often around nowadays. I would say in the last 1.5 to 2 years, this is becoming very popular terms. Procurement people never bothered about it, but now I think they're also getting it. It is not only for the IT people, they also have to understand when they buy the software. Now, machine learning is, to me, is more like algorithmic. That means if I have something, and to give an example, I've got handwritten digits. Somebody writes 0 like a circle, somebody writes in a different way. Somebody 0 looks like a 6. How computers will understand? I write an algorithmic, and that's what is a machine learning. Then when I go to the next level, artificial intelligence, so there I'm talking of a basically intelligence machine, which think and work like human being. You've heard about the cars which are being tried by Google and others and this without the driver. So that means that's more of an AI. But then when we go to the RPA, it's basically a software robots with instructions. So if you're given some instructions, it follows it, it does it. But it may not be as intelligent as AI. So there is a gap around. So all these things are leading us, helping us to automate the transactional processes. If honestly you look at the 15 steps which I was telling you around, there are some steps which systems can do it. Even if I'm trying to do a purchase order, if a requisition is given to me, a requisition is given from a catalog, then even the PO can be generated from the catalog directly. Supplier is fixed, terms are fixed. The guy has told me from this catalog, the punch out catalog is there, item number this, I could make the POs around. So that way what I'm looking around is RPA can help us to reduce cost 35 to 65%. If I'm doing on an onshore, for 10 to 30% offshore. But these figures you have to go with a pinch of salt. I mean, you have to look at your maturity of the procurement. If your procurement system is not matured, this may not help you. You say, guys, these figures are just for namesake. But these numbers are real if you are matured procurement process. 70 to 80% of your items are already through catalogs. Then certainly this could help you. So this is where, and then if I'm looking at the other things around like machine learning, AI, then if I want to see there are non-compliant suppliers around smart contract, that also can be pulled up. So in short, I want to say this technology can help you a lot to make savings. But before doing, ensure that your procurement process is quietly matured enough. We did some study, a few companies around. We do the ranking of maturity from 1 to 5. On average, I'm talking the big companies, they're still between 3.5, 3 to 3.5. Very few, I still have to find who are at the rank level at 5. So one has to mature the process as well. train the people before I can say this advantage will come to you. Next one is the big data. Certainly the data has become big. By human being, it's very difficult to analyze. And this is what reminds me and make me laugh when I say, when I was looking at the data of 200 country offices spending around $8-9 billion, I said, guys, those days I had only spreadsheets. Enormous cost. But I'm happy and I feel now new tools have come up around which can help us with this. Because this data is a beautiful thing. If you don't use the data, it's lying there in the system. But if I can analyze the data becomes my intelligence. And that intelligence helps me to make a very good, effective decision as well. So when we start using these tools, it improves the profile of procurement. Procurement is not just a buyer. Procurement is something to save the cost. Procurement is something to cut the cycle time. Procurement is something to cut the lead time. So in short, procurement is no more a cost center. I do ask this question many times, many companies around. They think it's a cost, like, okay, this is the budget of the procurement. But to me, they are more of a saving center, the profit center. Even a small decision of theirs can bring a one saving around. Coming back to the next trend around, mobile P2P. Now we all have smartphones. We've got iPads around. So whenever we are there, whether in a vacation or something, things don't have to wait. From in a remote, even when you're driving around, you can press the button, approve the requisitions. Approvals could be done online. Modifications, authorizing payments. So in short, mobility has helped us. So with the smart tools available, smartphones available, smart pads available, I think this is what we are looking around. The process of P2P is not stuck with 9 to 5, it is expanded. There's a productivity boost. And you're able to connect with suppliers globally in a real-time basis. Let's touch a little bit on this part. The blockchain technologies, I would say 2-3 years back, people were just taking it, but now it's becoming a very hot subject. We cannot close our eyes. So we have to see what is this going to be there. The beautiful thing of this is it's a digital ledger. It certainly ensured digital revolutions. Information is shared among all. It's totally encrypted. Things cannot be changed. Now the relevance to P2P, when I look around, ability to program activity in the machine, matches occur. You can trace the supply chain. That's a beautiful thing about it. Your drugs might be coming from one place, maybe a fake drugs. You can easily track and trace it. Even when you're buying some fruit juices or fruit, you can know from which plant it came around. So if you really expand your supply chain, you have the complete visibility in the blockchain. And naturally, then when this is their visibility part, compliance comes into this. And they're still in infancies. And I know a lot of people are working on it. Many companies have tried it. Even in India, I've seen. In the UN, we had done a few projects. We did one in Honduras, one we did in Estonia. So this is moving fast, I would say. That's what I can say. Next comes P2P transformation. Now we have heard a lot. P2P is a great tool, wonderful tool. Even next could be S2P around. But to me, again, my advice would be the change part. You certainly should make your change journey. Give it to your stakeholders. Explain to the stakeholders. They have to get buy-in. Otherwise, they'll say, guys, oh, you are done, combine all these functions around. And then they could make a big issue out of it. So you have to make a change journey. You have to map it out, convince the stakeholders, let them buy in, and even your staff also. I remember when I implemented ERP those days, everybody, when we didn't have this, people were grumbling. When we developed it, people were still grumbling. Oh, the previous systems were much better. We would do manually flexibility. Everybody wants flexibility. So keep in mind, you need to have a training plans, adoption plans, and last but not the least is supplier communication. So when you're trying to find any partners for implementing P2P, ensure they are with you in this change management journey. So they also have to help you to change the mindset, to build up the systems. That's what it talks about. Let's try to work it out. What are the best practices? When you're trying to find the solutions, I'm working in a medium scale company, I want to go with P2P. I'm working in a big company which has ERP, I want to connect my P2P linked up with that. Ensure that you have the tools for contract management. Catalog management is very crucial to me. If I want to get the best benefit of P2P, catalog management. In India, it is still, I would say, only 5 or 10% of the companies are using the catalog management. And catalog management means those with whom you have made a call of contract. Their catalog should be hooked up with you. And even those companies which are other companies around with whom you have not made a call of contract, you may use them sometime for shopping purpose, connect their catalog also. There's a need to work on. Even I had done same project, developed in-house in a developing country as well. So to me, I could see the differences a big way, requisition approval. This is another problem I see in many companies. Requisition is made, somebody has to authorize it, somebody has to approve it. They take 10 days, but when it comes to getting the purchase order, they want it yesterday. So I need that system should ensure it. System should have workflow. System should have red alerts, guy, this is waiting for you, please approve it. So auto systems, manual POs, sometime I want an auto POs around. If it's a catalog connected, why can't PO go separately? I'm the budget owner, item is selected, an item is approved by the sourcing team, it could have an auto POs. Payment processing, early payment discount, this is very crucial. Some companies say, guys, suppliers, if I say, guys, if I pay you in 7 days, what is the discount I get for this? So I should have the tool for that. Analytics, pre-built integrators, very important around. To complement with existing ERP, you must have seamless integrators. Mobility, yes. If you're cloud-based, you have a wonderful tools around, you need mobility. Deeper supplier engagements. If suppliers could be given a self-service, I still have to see a company in India where we can do the self-service, where guys can go and upload their own e-invoice. Instead of sending someone and then somebody scanning it, I would say if you can have a self-service around. And if there's a dispute, how do I resolve it? So that part also you have to look around. And full P2P functionality. So this is where I thought, let me touch base on this. To summarize, I would say P2P, procure to pay, has a significant role to play in the future of the procurement and its advancements. It should not only be seen as a cost cutter, but as a strategic functions. But keep in mind, this whole bandwagon is rolling. The question that all business must ask is, should I jump on now or be mowed over under the speeds? So my friends, with this, I would say this, this information, and I want to thank you all for participations. On behalf of JICAS and ISM-INDIA, I want to thank you all for your great participation. I hope this was useful. Now, this recorded version would be available through JICAS or ISM-INDIA website.